What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Actually, you're out in Columbus, Ohio again, and we get to go on the field today. Boy, this is going to be fun. Night game in the shoe on the field. Went to school session earlier, so we'll show you stuff from that, and then we'll get on the field. Boy, is this going to be fun. I'd like to give a big shout out to Lou Vito, Chad Wilkinson. I work at a radio station in Bell Fountain. They sent me over here, brought my dad and my aunt, and it's time to have some fun. Go Bucks!
We didn't play last week. Oh, yeah,
When you're in Ohio State, it's always about us. But when it's about us, we got to bring it every week. And not only have to bring it every week, we got to get better every week. And this team feeds off of the crowd. This team feeds off of the fans. So we're going to start early. We're going to get in that stadium early. We're going to get this thing rocking. Because this week, we got to get better. We got to get more intense. We got to get more passionate. We got to play more violent. And we're going to kick some ass. 5 on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Massive thank you to Lou Vito and Chad Wilkinson with VTech Communications and Peak of Ohio, where I am an employee, as well as the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield for putting on this event, getting the affiliate stations and people associated with them on the sidelines, and couple that with the Ohio State University for getting us in some amazing seats in the north end zone right next to the band. That was absolutely awesome. You got to see the Buckeye stripe across the field. The student section really showed out for that. That was awesome. Had a little drone show. They did a cool flashlight thing. There's just nothing like Saturday night in the shoe, and got to watch a pretty fun game there as well. 37-9, Ohio State, importantly, gets that win. They get through non-conference play undefeated, and we get a bye week before moving on to go to Seattle. Talk about that one in a minute and everything having to do with this game. And I apologize it's taken me this long to sit down and record this video. Did not have time Saturday night because, well, post-game traffic in Columbus, if you know, you know. It is horrible. And was visiting family and had some other things come up yesterday, so didn't have time. So barring anything spectacular, you'll get 3 videos from me today. This one, as well as my Power 30 and my weekly takeaways, everything I learned from week 3 of college football. And this sort of to me was a recalibration week, but not for the team that's going to stay number 1 in the country, despite early struggles, especially in the red zone. Ohio State emerges from Ohio as the defense dominates again 37-9. Was that final score. Hey, now you're in the booth with Tailgate Nate, so please help support me in the channel in any way you can. Like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell, follow me on social media, and follow me in my journey to reach as high as I can in the sports media industry, so on and so forth. Whatever you would like to do and whatever you can do, I greatly appreciate all of it. I do want to talk about the Buckeye stripe thing because sometimes it really does just peeve me that Buckeye fans refuse to follow simple instructions. Just like I have on right now. I was wearing my gray. We were in section 4A, a couple sections away from the band on the north side. That was our job. It was to wear gray. My dad was wearing gray, whom I brought. They were able to let me bring a few guests. Brought my dad, brought my aunt. Again, they had such a fun time, as did I, and they wore gray. And there were quite a few Buckeye fans that wore gray in their respective sections. And I get it. There's not a lot of gray Ohio State merch. They've worn the gray jerseys just a couple of times. You're mainly going to have scarlet. You're going to have white, maybe even some black in there as well, with now the black jersey being out for as long as it has been. I get it. Gray is not necessarily going to be the most prominent color in your merch closet. However, it peeves me that sometimes Buckeye fans cannot follow simple instructions. I believe that the university, with everything that they have at their disposal, you could probably provide those shirts, and that way it would have looked a lot better from the sky. I think enough people wore gray to where it did its job, and I think it's a cool, fun, unique idea that I wouldn't necessarily mind it being tried again, just to see if you can get a better result, because now the people know what to expect. I love this stupid Buckeye stripe in the student section, and among the red that's sprinkled in with the white and black, the students really showed out, man. They did their job. The O Block, fantastic job, folks. You did amazing. The rest of you, maybe next time wear some gray. Although, again, it was still a fun experience nonetheless. I just thought it was going to be cool to see that helmet view from the top. But ultimately, not the way that it ended up panning out, as there was a lot of red sprinkled in with what was supposed to be a sea of gray. Maybe they try it again. Maybe they don't. We'll see. However, when we talk about this game, there were a lot of good things shown, and you can definitely see the growth of this team. However, there are some things in this one that I do want to discuss. So let's go ahead and talk about the recap to this game. First, Buckeyes turn the football over on downs in their first drive. Okay, that's going to end up not necessarily being a theme, but you get into the red zone. You're stopped on 4th and goal after a very, very nice pitch and catch there to Jeremiah Smith earlier in the drive. Buckeyes lead 3-0 coming out of the first. It's only 13-3 at halftime as Ohio is able to get the tip drill pick, and then they take that and go score a field goal. First drive of the game, or first drive of the second half for the Bobcats. They get the long touchdown. Secondary forgot how to tackle, but they missed the extra point, and it was all Buckeyes from there. But red zone struggles are the biggest thing here. I want to start with the positives, so keep that thought in mind. The struggles in the red zone, we're going to come back to it. But I want to highlight the man that is sitting right over there, Bo Jackson. For starters, Jeremiah Smith looked fantastic. 9 catches, 153 yards, 1 touchdown. He was catching just about everything. I think 1 pass breakup from an Ohio DB knocked it out of his hands. Same thing with Carnell Tate, but he was still really good. 5 catches, 101 yards, and 1 touchdown. And you even saw the former Purdue Boilermaker, tight end transfer Max Clare. He got his first Buckeye touchdown. Has not been as involved in this offense as I figured he would be, but this Buckeye team is very deep in the tight end room because you have Will Kazmarek, who did have a catch, or 2 catches, I believe, against his former team in the Bobcats. Jelani Thurman, we've seen get into the end zone already this year as well. And as far as the backfield goes, notice I'm skipping a player in Julian saying that's because I want to come back to him. As far as the backfield goes, James Peoples, CJ Donaldson, throughout the first couple of weeks here, I think they've been pretty solid. To me, they haven't necessarily been disappointing. They haven't exceeded my expectations. They've been kind of right at about that line. And one of the players I was really intrigued to watch coming into this year was the guy that you see on the far left-hand side of your screen. That's a true freshman running back in Bo Jackson, and he, I think, really emerged in this game. He's really emerged over the past couple of weeks. He has played, or I should say, he has 18 carries compared to Peoples and Donaldson that have right around 35. He's leading this Buckeye team in rushing on the season, 12.6 yards per carry, does have a touchdown that he scored on an 11-yard rush against Grambling State. He has the 2 longest rushes for the Buckeyes this year at 51 yards last week, and then broke that mark with a 64-yard run this week, and that's not even why his average is that high. Out of his 18 carries, 7 of them have gone for 10-plus yards, and he has 2 catches out of the backfield. Both came in this game. Both went for 10-plus yards. I think that's the most underrated part of his game. He is a beast. He is a really well-built guy. He is stupidly hard to tackle because of his frame, and his cutting ability is second to none. The way that, the explosive tendency that I have already seen Bo Jackson play with to hit the hole and go. That was a terrible snap. Okay, a little better. Just to hit the hole and boom, go, take off. This guy, this kid is going to be spectacular, and I think he's going to mix into this running back rotation. You could see Ryan Day play all 3 throughout the course of a game. Peoples, Donaldson, and Bo Jackson keeps fresh bodies on the field, and all 3 of them provide some different things from the running back room. So I don't hate it. Don't hate it at all. In fact, I love it. And Bo Jackson, I would find it really hard to believe he redshirts this year. I think he's going to be a vital piece to this Buckeye offense moving down the line. As far as the defensive side of the ball, secondary was outstanding again. What do you want me to say? Apart from that 67-yard pass play where everybody forgot how to tackle and run the right way, and they took bad routes to the ball, bad routes to the ball carrier, so on and so forth. This secondary was absolutely phenomenal. Parker Navarro and even the backup in Nick Poulos that came in couldn't do anything. A combined 10 of 21 passing for 113 yards, and again, that 1 long touchdown. If not for that long touchdown, you're looking at a really rough stat line for Bobcat passing. It's because the secondary is fantastic, and now you're starting to see the product of having an NFL caliber secondary, which the Buckeyes do have, as far as it relates to that defensive front, because the pass rush finally got home. Oh, yes, the pass rush got home. They more than doubled their season total in one game than they had over the past 2 weeks. They had 3 sacks entering this game. They had 4 in that one. That's 7 on the air, 4 sacks here, and a little bit of everybody getting involved. I think Arvell Reese got there. I know Caden Curry had 1 sack there as well, so on and so forth. And this is the Buckeye defensive front that I have said before is just not bringing a ton of blitzes. I want to see them mix it up a little bit more. However, they do a very good job at disguising what sort of pressure packages and even defensive coverages that they are going to show the opposing offense. And now they're getting pressure with 4-man front. You're really starting to see these defensive linemen round into form early on in the year, which I really, really like. And they're getting pressure with 4-man fronts. Yeah, there's still a while for the Bobcat quarterbacks in the backfield. And this is a good Ohio offensive line, okay? It was a good offensive line last year. It's been a good offensive line so far this year. Against Power 4 opponents in Rutgers and West Virginia, they only allowed 2 sacks, not much pressure. And this run game was spectacular for Ohio over the past couple of games, especially against West Virginia. While it didn't rip off the chunk yardage plays, it pounded away on the ground, a big reason why Ohio was able to beat the Power 4 opponent from Morgantown. However, this is a Buckeye defensive front that, just didn't allow anything in the run game, just 2 yards per carry, and getting pressure with 4-man fronts. Now you're going to mix in guys like Arvell Reese, who has just been a dynamite stick over the first 3 weeks here. He has exceeded expectations for me. He's been phenomenal. We know what Sonny Styles can do with his athleticism and all the different ways that they can play him out of the second level. You couple that with an NFL caliber secondary, a defensive front that finally is getting home and getting home with 4-man fronts. I mean, this Buckeye defense, Matt Patricia was a phenomenal hire, and this is still going to be one of, if not the best defense in college football this year. Okay, let's go back over to the offense because there are some things that you can nitpick. Julian Sayin, he showed his youth in this game, which I don't think is inherently a bad thing. I don't think that at all. But what Julian Sayin needs to work on is I think he's got to read the field a little bit better. There are still some open guys that he's missing, some reads that he's just not seeing. I think still trying to get a little bit used to that in the offense. And sitting in the end zone, watching all the guys spread out, you can tell, yep, he was open. He probably should have thrown that ball there. It was still a good day for Julian Sayin, don't get me wrong. And there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about the tip drill pick. However, the one where he's falling down to the ground, eat the sack, dude. There's no reason to shovel that ball out there trying to be a hero and make something out of nothing. It fell right into the arms of a Bobcat defensive lineman, and that, again, was when Ohio State was driving. They might have even been in the red zone, if not close to it, at that point. Speaking of the red zone, again, we're going to come back to that in just a minute. Julian Sayin, I think those things are going to be fine. Again, the just young freshman mistakes. He's still throwing at almost 80% completion. His accuracy's been phenomenal. He's got one of, if not the best wide receiver room in the country. Now he's got a stable of 3 backs that I think are proven and capable of being relied upon in those big moments, especially the true freshman in Bo Jackson. His offensive front has done a phenomenal job at being able to protect him. In fact, this Ohio defensive front was the only sack that the Buckeyes have allowed so far this year. I think the offense is going to be fine. However, let's talk about what happened in the red zone because they left 28 points on the board in 6 red zone trips. They came away with 2 touchdowns. That's it. I don't think that this is a Buckeye team that punted once. They were driving up and down the field. They did whatever they wanted against, again, a pretty good Bobcat defense. It shows you the versatility and how good this offense is. It could have been a lot worse for the Bobcats on the scoreboard. I know Ohio State didn't cover the spread. They only won by 28, but the defense dominated. It was controlled by the Buckeyes from start to finish. Maybe some people out there getting a little bit worried at 13-9. I mean, I was sitting in the stands, hands on head, but, shortly after, well, they're going to be fine. They're driving the football up and down the field. But in those 4 missed red zone trips, obviously you have the turnover on downs to start the game, and then 3 field goals. Right there, 9 points, 28 possible points, -9. You left 19 points on the board. So if we tack that on right here, if we tack the 19 points on, quick math, that gives us 56. This game could have been 56-9, and that's kind of a statement to a lot of people coming in that were saying, and myself included, hey, Ohio's a pretty solid team. They can give the Buckeyes a pretty solid run, etc., etc. The 37-9 still a very good win. Look, don't get me wrong. And should we expect the red zone issues to stay concurrent? No. But we all know that we all know that 2 touchdowns and 6 trips to the red zone, if we get that many against teams like Illinois, Penn State, Michigan, and whoever we happen to play in the Big Ten Championship, if we get that far, is not going to cut it. Not at all. This defense has been playing out of their freaking mind. Well, now you get a bye week, you get a rest. Lorenzo Styles, a starting defensive back, can get healthy. His brother Sonny talked after the game, and although nothing has been confirmed by the coaching staff or medical personnel, it sounds like initial reports are that Lorenzo Styles is going to be okay. A little bit worried there about some torn ligaments in the shoulder. He was laying with his arm just on the turf, not moving it, so you're worried about a couple other things that could happen, but Sonny says he's fine. Is he playing it off? We'll see, but initial findings and wording is sounding like, hey, it's not going to be that bad, and Lorenzo Styles probably ended up being fine, which is good. He's a big part to what this Buckeye secondary does, part of that NFL caliber secondary. This is a Buckeye team that I'm not too worried about entering conference play. However, there are a ton of games that are getting increasingly more interesting. I think that one on the road in Seattle here in a couple of weeks after the bye week, oh man, that's going to be a really fun one and a good measuring stick game for where Julian Sain is at. First road game environment, and the people in Seattle like to get loud. You come back home for homecoming against Minnesota, and then you go on the road to play the Illinois Fighting Illini. I think that's a top 8 team in the country. They might even be top 7, top 5 to some out there. It was a team I had making the college football playoff. They look legit, man. They look really good. They also struggled a little bit with a MAC opponent at home, but much like Ohio State, they eventually found their gear and turned it on, beat Western Michigan 38-0. That's going to be an insane game. We know the Penn State one's going to be fun. Michigan at the end of the year, of course, all the storylines going in to that game. This is going to be a fun year with some really fun games, and all 3 of those games I just mentioned there, Washington, Illinois, I should say 3 out of the 4, Washington, Illinois, Michigan are on the road. Of course, the Buckeyes are getting Penn State at home. But this is going to be a phenomenal year. I'm really liking what I saw out of the first 3 weeks. Buckeyes beat the Bobcats. It's the Buckeye State for a reason, baby, not the Bobcat State. 37-9, again, final score. Liking what I see so far. Can't wait to see how this team continues to grow as the season goes along. That'll do it for me. Thank you so much for watching this video and looking at everything that happened while we were in the shoe on Saturday night. Probably going to be a little bit of a longer video with all the highlights and stuff at the beginning, but that's okay. Hey, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. Support me in the channel in any way you can, and we'll see you later today with some weekly takeaways and College Football Power 30. Have a good day, everybody. Goodbye.